Hey, it's a new week, and PlayStation has a new controversy. Boy, Jonas, were you expecting this one?
No, I absolutely was not. I thought we might give them a little bit of a break here, but this headline was bonkers. PlayStation rumored to be developing ultra woke game featuring transgender protagonists complaining about lack of women leaders. Let's talk about that on That Game Place. I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is the man that I go to when I want a leaf of old Tobe, Mr. Culture Casino. Culture,
Well,
how's it going today?
thank you for that. You make me sound like a ruined, moldy old tome. But
No. A leaf of old. That's a tobacco reference
I
here.
know I just was being funny.
Yes.
Uh,
Any Lord of the Rings fans out there knew what I was
would
talking about.
certainly know that. That's right.
But instead, let's talk about this article here from John F. Trent over there at That Park Place. A new rumor claims that PlayStation Studios is developing a game featuring a so-called transgender protagonist who complains about lack of women leaders in his community. Hey, look, it's PlayStation 5.
Hey,
The
I got one
rumor
of those.
the rumor comes from Noticias PlayStation account on X, who shared via X's machine translation a casting for a PlayStation Studios game currently in production would be looking for the following: a girl of about 20 or 30 years old with dark skin and transgender, a knife expert. And the story would be about how their culture does not accept women as leaders in their community. I see some irony in this, possibly. Culture, do
Hmm.
you see any issues there about culture that is not accepting of women leaders? And also, and we're going to be careful because of the platform that we're on, someone being dark skinned and transgender.
Yeah, I think they've got all kinds of problems considering that the countries that they would be targeting here don't really have a whole lot of acceptance across the board for some of those things.
And also, I see some issue in, whether or not those cultures would also be accepting of a transgender person,
Yeah,
specifically about whether or not that person is female or male or what.
yeah.
In a subsequent post, the account added, regarding the casting call that I published a few days ago, I would like to clarify some things. So you might think that they're retracting, but it was never bait, to quote. It is 100% real. The info was taken from a page where you have to register to see the casting calls. There are also Ubisoft, Activisions, and other SIE, so I'm going to say Sony Interactive Entertainment games. I claim that it is a PlayStation Studios game because the casting director's history, 99% of the time, is work for Sony Interactive Entertainment. He added, trust me, guys, I would never go into the bud without being 100% sure of things with a sensitive topic like this. So it sounds
Wow.
like PlayStation notices here is probably, it sounds like some speculation on their part, but they're bringing the receipts as to why they believe what's going on here. According to ex-user Rhino the Bouncer, the website this information was garnered from was Actors Access. Again, repeating the same information here. And you can see the tweet. And this is a PlayStation Studios logo with many great games here. There's Astro, Ghost of Tsushima, things like that. The website describes how projects get cast in its FAQ. A casting director or filmmaker will send us their project information, and we'll work with them to get their breakdown prepared for release. They decide where they want to go with it, and we release it to agents and managers and actors in those regions. It adds that agents and managers view projects on breakdownexpress.com, and the actors view projects on actorsaccess.com. In both cases, the Actors Access profile is submitted for casting to view submissions and select the actors they want to audition. Furthermore, the website confirms it does voice as well as animation work. We post over 90% of all scripted content that requires actors in North America, including film, TV, theater, commercial, voice, and animation. We support the entire industry from student filmmakers to the biggest budget studio and network projects. So this is a legit casting site.
Yes.
All right, Culture. Do you have anything you would like to add there before we move on?
No, actually, Actors Access is legitimate, and you can actually use their app to submit all kinds of things like your headshot, build up your profile, and find jobs if that's what you want to do. So not only is it legitimate, it's one that you could certainly use yourself if you are so inclined.
It's one way to get into the industry.
Yeah.
There might be other paths. It's not unsurprising the PlayStation Studios would be developing a game like this. The company recently showcased its new 5v5 multiplayer shooter Concord, being developed by Firewalk Studios. The game featured a number of characters that have their preferred pronouns listed in their biographies, indicating the game is pushing transgender ideology. In at least one case, one of the characters has undecided. Furthermore, the developer's director of IP, Kim Kreines, detailed that every week when you log into Concord, you will be welcomed with a new cinematic vignette that will give you a chance to see our characters off the job. They will feature ongoing narrative arcs that grow the character stories and relationships and unpack the broader Concord galaxy. So, I'm going to say that this is an overall trend, specifically Sony, but across the industry at large here, that they're going for. Sometimes I wonder if they're adding the relationship aspects specifically so they have an excuse to talk about things like this. Fortnite, in particular, comes to mind as a game that really doesn't need much narrative at all. There is a narrative in there that you can follow season to season, but the overall lore of Fortnite, not very important. Most shooters, especially a 5v5 shooter, is it really important to know what relationships characters are in, especially relative to each other?
No, I don't think so. What I also think is oftentimes, the relationship aspects that they've put into a lot of, I guess, AAA games for some time now, always felt a little bit clunky and kind of an afterthought, and maybe not something that most of the players would explore. It's very strange. I recall that going back to Mass Effect and being like, what is this aspect of this game? And mind you, I appreciate good RPGs, and maybe you do have different kinds of relationships with people around you, but oftentimes I think, it's just the afterthought of something to maybe, again, grasp for appeal for just a handful of people that might really be into that.
Right, right. And Mass Effect comes to mind for me in particular because the romance aspect was a little bit more rare at that point, and
Hmm.
and you could explore relationships with any member of the crew, but it was very much player choice.
Right.
In order to do that, you could play the entire game without having it. By the third game, of course, uh, maybe characters would live or die based off of those storytelling arrangements. And I got to say, for me, Mass Effect, I didn't really enjoy the story of Mass Effect altogether that much. The only thing I really got out of it was when I watched Picard season one, which was a travesty that they somehow still decided to steal the story of Mass Effect for that abysmal show. Okay, the other thing I'll add, of course, is that in some way, all it does is changes the color between red, green, or blue on the
Mm.
ending. Doesn't have really that much effect when it comes down to it, but it does signal to people that they are welcoming, and to others that maybe they are not so welcoming. With that being said, I think we'd like to throw this to our commenters. What do you think about whatever this game could be? Are you going to answer the call? Are you a 20 to 30 something transgender, dark skinned person that wants to play a role where you challenge a culture that is not accepting of female leaders?
Oh,
Maybe
and
you
yeah,
could.
maybe you can do that for sure, but you've got to be good with knives too.
That's
Don't
true.
forget.
You do need to be a knife expert. But that being said, if you like this video, like this video. Maybe tap it with a little knife right there if you're one of those knife experts, and consider subscribing to That Game Place. We got to come up with a catchphrase.